Good afternoon, dear colleagues. Let me introduce myself. I am Anastasia Seabrook. I am from National Aviation University from Kiev. And we want to say shortly about our research, scientific figures as a factor in the formation of communicative intention in scientific linguistic text. The authors of our article Anastasia Seabrook, Svetlana Litvinska, Uliana Koshetar, Nadia Senchila-Tatlilioglu, Kasim Tatlilioglu, and Hanna Onofrichuk. We are from National Aviation University, Kiev, and Kasim Tatlilioglu is from Bengal University, it's Turkey. The aim of our research is to clarify the semantic content of the stylistic figures in scientific text. And our tasks to consider the general theoretical principles of scientific figures in scientific text, to study the typology of scientific figures in scientific text, determine the function of stylistic figures in individual linguistic explosions, and to analyze the expediency of motivated use of stylistic figures in scientific discourse. The main source of material was the linguistic works of Seligay, Nepivoda, Artyunova, Dyuklakov, Kotyurova, Ilchenko, Bragina, Golovin, Gorbachevich, and others. However, this aspect has not been studied enough in the linguistic literature. The following methods have been used to solve certain tasks in research: descriptive, comparative, historical, and comparable with the elements of external and internal reconstruction, structure with the using of the methods of component analysis, elements of statistical analysis, the method of associated experiments, and others. When we analyze some scientific and scientific popular text of some scientists, some of them articles of Philip Seligay, we observed a lot of various repetitions. We think that repetition helps to create a rhythm in prose and the main reason for the using of repetition in scientific discourse is related to the main function of language, to be a means communication, because the repetition of what is said is related to the need of the speaker to convey the opinion to the listener, to impose it on him opinion. Repetitions can help the recipient better understand what is said in case of unnecessary noise prevent successful communication. You see on my screen some samples of repetition. This is from article of Philip Seligay too. Some of them are using the words noun, noun, yes, in all sentences. Or this example, stylistic norm, finiteness of norm, norm fixes, stylistic norms, it's from 2 or 3 sentences, and he uses this word, this term, for example, 3 or 4 times in one sentence. And you have various another examples of repetitions, and think that text repetitions serve development and accordingly the development of the semantic space of the text. Repetitions not only bind the text but also make it more dynamic. Sometimes in scientific text we have a lot of various antitheses. Antithesis is a phenomenon related to stylistics and logic. Often in the opposition itself there are no linguistic methods of implementing this opposition. In other words, we are dealing with logically opposite facts of reality. With the help of constructing comparison of facts, their depth is most widely depicted because on the dark background, the clearness is the most clearly seen. The sound is perfectly perceived in silence, while in the end of something, some constantly looking for its beginning. The author uses the antithesis to explain the natures of some antonyms. We have a lot of interesting examples too. Some of them you see on screen. For example, if the basis of Ukrainian was primarily vernacular, then the basis of Russian mostly book samples. Or another, a characteristic feature of irony in the analyzed text is that it is not abuse, not radical, but, so to speak, irony with a plus sign, with a positive emotional color, also combined with other, sometimes sad spectrum feelings. And we have another, a lot of various another examples, and we think that when we say about articles from students, it is very useful information sometimes. Rhetorical figures. Figures are used in scientific discourse too. Among the rhetorical figures are the figures of appeal, questions, denial, explanation. Rhetorical is an address that does not have the purpose of actual contact with the person, object, or phenomenon to which they are addressed, and serves only to attack the reader's attention, to express the attitude of the speakers. And you see on our presentation. So do we need Braille for clarity? So veritatis, a verb, pronouns, consecutive phrase is not always correct. And author uses some interesting figures, question and answer. Question and answer. You see another examples of this question. For example, which of the manuscript is more perfect? Stylistic skill, does the scientific need it? And some of them, when we read these questions in our mind, we think about the answering of these rhetorical questions. We have the course of business Ukrainian language in National Aviation University, and one of the theme of lecture and practice is scientific communication as a component of professional activity. And we had 125 respondents studying at National Aviation University, and they took part in the experiments when they had a practical task. According to the age criteria, students aged from 17 to 19, by gender creation, 65 women and 56 men. By field of study, it was 40 students from Faculty of Transport Management and Logistics, 40 students from the Faculty of Air Navigation, Electronics and Telecommunication, 41 students of the Faculty of Economics and Business Administration. The main source of material was the linguistic works of Philip Soligay and Natalia Nepivoda, and some of another scientists, and we have these results. Students said that more interesting to read scientific popular literature with some examples and with a lot of stylistic features, some as repetitions, some as rhetorical questions. Then they say it about rhetorical appeals, inversion, and the last it was antithesis, because when they have a lot of they had a lot of repetition, they thought about the meaning of these terms, and we think that this is very useful for our students. It should be noted that according to the result of the analysis, the greatest influence on the assimilation of scientific text is influenced by such means as repetitions, greatest influence, rhetorical question and appeals, to a lesser extent, antithesis, inversion, and so on. It's very shortly about our research. Thank you for attention, and if you will have questions, we will be on the conference and will answer to these questions. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.